purpose, it means finding the thing that motivates your life. The reason you wake up in the morning and the reason you can't sleep at night. The one thing that calls you to action no matter what else is going on around you. For most people, I feel like the concept of purpose gets watered down. They would describe it as something you would like to do or something that you are good at. But for me, purpose is something greater. I have to do it. It's this undeniable calling that follows me around everywhere I go, and I can't escape it. I've tried to deny it in favor of stability and pleasing those around me who want the best for me, but it almost tore me apart. Everything I did that didn't align with my purpose felt like sandbags strapped to my ankles, and every step in the wrong direction was an absolute drag. Unfortunately, the way things are structured, getting a degree or learning a trade skill is a much safer bet. And although I acknowledge that there's a lot of people in these kind of positions that are perfectly happy and content, I know that there's a lot of other people who are actively stifling their creative energy in order to fit into the expectations and limitations of traditional employment. This to me is a crying shame. It's like we spend our entire grade school experience being taught how to comply, and they do this through fear by instilling in you that you'll never amount to anything if you don't learn to obey the institution. It really seems like they want us to believe more in the system than in ourselves. And as someone who showed academic prowess from early age, it seemed like everyone was trying to tell me about how I could make myself of use to either them or someone else in the future. No one ever encouraged me to monetize my skills for myself. And this advice, had I followed it, would have deprived me of the opportunity to really get to explore and develop my particular personality and skill set. As an immigrant child of two very busy and highly motivated parents, there wasn't always a lot of time and attention put into me. And as a result, although I don't blame anyone directly for this, I started life with really low self-esteem. I had a very low opinion of myself and how I looked compared to my Anglo-Saxon European classmates. And unfortunately, this lack of confidence was exploited by not only the other kids around me, but also the adults. And one day, I think I just realized the vulnerabilities that are revealed to other people when they see that you don't really take pride in your appearance, and how you present yourself. So I set out to, hide those vulnerabilities and make sure that even if I didn't really feel the most confident, that I at least seemed like the most confident and put together in the room. It honestly all started when I discovered YouTube when I was 11, back in 2012. I learned on this platform how to both literally and figuratively conceal my insecurities so they couldn't be used against me.
I grew up in a really small island, and I didn't have a lot of access to fashion. But as far as I could remember, fashion has always been my defense mechanism. I remember thinking, she could beat me, but she cannot beat my outfit.
I made up and dressed myself to such a high level of polish that I would often be mistaken for a substitute teacher or another member of the faculty. As a result, I learned to manifest the way I wanted to be treated just by how I dressed and carried myself. This was confidence not as a result of true self-love, but rather as a defense mechanism. And it honestly worked for a while, and the reassurance gave me the courage to start my competitive phase. Starting when I was around 12 years old, my academic year included volleyball, basketball, shot put, soccer, recreational tennis, competition choir, church choir, and school choir. This, in conjunction with my advanced placement classes, meant I really had no time in between activities except for to sleep, and I absolutely loved it. This was the point in time where I remember being the happiest and the most creatively liberated. And not only that, but I was good at it. I placed several times in my novice year for speech and debate, and I loved the rush of being able to dominate on the basketball and volleyball courts. I was on an all time high, but it wouldn't last for very long. Everything changed when my family moved to a small conservative town in Pennsylvania. I mean, we had moved a few times before this, but this time was different. Although my parents were just trying to put me in an area that they felt would help guarantee that I got a good education and entered a good career, they inadvertently ended up taking everything that would have actually guaranteed my happiness and success from me. Upon starting my sophomore year, it became very apparent that I was not going to be able to compete. These kids were just better. They were better learners and stronger athletes, and they came from families in which you are groomed from day one to succeed at everything you do, and I just couldn't keep up. Very quickly got cut from every team I tried out for, and that kind of made me recede into the darkness and stop putting myself out as much as I used to. And despite this disappointment and despite being in such a dark place, I still found solace in my end of the day choir class with Mrs. K, where I really felt like at very least I could vent out my frustrations through music. And for that time being, for the rest of my high school career, music was really the only thing that I felt that I had. I was really discouraged. I lost all academic motivation and my self esteem crumbled to nothing. So, when I started college, my goal was to be wherever the action was. I was tired of having nothing to do on the weekends and not being in the mix like I was in high school. And the new diversity around me gave me hope that I might get to be one of the trendsetters and socialites of my academic class. And I really put in a valid effort, but I ended up falling into some of the most traumatic relationships I hope to ever be a part of. Like, these people were really trying to kill me. I found myself in April of 2021 walking out of a job that I had really loved but just gotten fired from because I didn't have a car and was missing too many shifts. And I got into an Uber, which I paid for with my last $40 just to return to an empty apartment where I had lived out my first real relationship just to be broken up with for a prior ex. And honestly, I can't forget that day because I remember once I got home, I went to lay down in my bed and I was staring up at the ceiling and I was thinking to myself, after all the love and energy and compassion I've poured into the world and into everyone around me, here I am, broke, heartbroken, and without a friend in this world. It was grief like I had never experienced before. The grief was so heavy that I really thought I would drown in it and never see the light again. And for 2 years, that's how I lived. I was constantly haunted by the ghosts of people who I felt should still be there for me, but for some messed up reason were not. And for that time, I was just barely alive. And that experience is what I so lovingly call my villain origin story. At that point, I felt like I had already lost everything that mattered to me, and there was nothing further for me to lose. And that is what set me on my current path. Back to my purpose. What really motivates me and what I think my purpose is in this life is to motivate everyone else. I'm really manifesting a strong community of enterprising young women who want to learn alongside me what it means to be a boss, to take life by the balls and say, I'm in charge, you listen to me. My platform is built on self-love and confidence because I really feel like that is the competitive edge. I feel like too many amazing women have been traumatized and victimized by terrible men and women who honestly should have been raised better. And I hope to set the example that not only are you the author of your own story, but as long as you continue to water it, the grass will always be greener under you. I know that you have more to offer than what they give you credit for, and I would be honored to be your guide in discovering that truth. So if you are tired and ready to break the cycle of victimhood and dependency on useless people who would dim your light just for fear that you might blind them, please subscribe to this channel. For me personally, I'm getting there with or without you, but I hope you'll be able to make the decision to confront yourself and start on your journey as well. Because no matter what they say, life is long. You don't have to settle for anything because you have time to find your version of peace, light, and prosperity. Thank you for watching.